How y'all doing today, folks? This here is a quick video run through of all 16 of my Nintendo 3DS games. Just took me a few moments to get them in front of me so that I can show you guys a little bit of what's to come. For those of you that'll be at Anime Boston, I bring all of my 3DS games every year. So that'll be something to look forward to. For future reference, this video will be permanently placed in the page that I set aside for it, so that you can always refer to it if you need a refresher, and it will be updated. And this video will obviously be revised if I get any new titles, or any titles are either sold or I no longer have. These titles will not be put in any particular order, but anyway, let's just jump right into it. So first, whoops, I'm gonna provide a little bit of music. Samurai Warriors Chronicles, and ironically, this is actually the third game that I bought. But of the three games, in order of games that I have, it's the oldest one that I have in my collection. I bought this game, I believe, the week after the system launched. And cut the music off. Samurai Warriors Chronicles departs a little bit from the other Samurai Warriors games in that in fact, the story is about your custom character. I'd say about the entire cast from Samurai Warriors 1 through 3 are available as playable characters as well. The only difference is only the custom character can actually use all the other characters' weapons and fighting styles once you've created a strong enough bond with them. But anyway, even though this game is a couple of years old now, it's still, to me, it's withstood this test of time. I've Street Passed with this game so many times the Street Pass feature doesn't even work, which is really funny. Though I still play this game from time to time when I'm not playing Fire Emblem Awakening. It's you can get this game for about 20 bucks now in a secondhand store, and I believe 30 everywhere else, except online, which as an aside is the best place to get a deal, to look for deals on virtually any video game. Super Mario 3D Land. I bought this game last winter, no, not last winter, 2 years ago. 2 years ago in the fall. Several months after it was released with Mario Kart 7, which by the way I do not have. This game's got Street Fast, and it's pretty basic intro if you haven't played a 3D Super Mario game before. This is actually still a work in progress for me, but it's a pretty awesome title. And as I mentioned a second ago, there is Street Pass in this game. So if you run into someone else that has Super Mario 3D Land, you'll be able to swap bonus rooms with them. Something else I was going to add. I haven't really seen that many people with physical copies of this ever since Nintendo decided to go digital. But it'll work out whether you can use the Street Pass feature whether you have the physical game or if you downloaded the game from the 3DS eShop. Same for this game, Tetris Axis. When I found this game on the eShop, I was more than a little annoyed, given I paid $30 for this game. You can now buy this game for $10 on the eShop. But naturally, I've never met a company that would be willing to give someone that bought the game at its original price a partial refund. Well, anyway, this game makes really great use of the augmented reality feature that 3DS introduced. Just give me 1 second. The augmented reality feature allows, for those of you that don't know, the augmented reality is a feature that allows you to bring the video game world or bits of it into the real world, which leads to all kinds of interesting new ways to play your favorite games. For example, in this game, you'll take a Tetris grid and place it in the real world using the 3DS screen to make for some pretty interesting ways to play. This game does have online play and Spot Pass, and yes, I am reading the back of the box. But this game is a staple for any Tetris fan or anyone that would just like a game that they can just casually play anytime, anywhere. And if that music sounds familiar, that is from Final Fantasy VII. And yes, I do have the original, the full soundtrack. Metal Gear Solid 3 3D Snake Eater. This is a bit of a tongue twister, but this is Metal Gear Solid 3 in full, in 3D. Solid Snake is this for those of you that haven't played any of the previous releases of Metal Gear Solid 3. In this game, you're playing as Big Boss in his much younger days. I'm not going to say anything more than that in terms of plot, or I'd be giving out major spoilers. But it's a pretty good buy if you haven't played any of the previous ones. For example, for me, this was my first time playing a Metal Gear Solid 3 release, and I've been enjoying it immensely. Of course, seeing as I also have Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes, for those of you that may or may not have played the other releases of the first Metal Gear Solid, in this game, all of the references to the Sony games have been replaced with references to Nintendo characters in Nintendo products. And yes, Yoshi can be found as an Easter egg in this game. I haven't cleared the game yet because I'm on a particular plot-related area, but I'm pretty sure once I get past it, you can bet I will be finishing this game. Next, Dead or Alive 3. Not Dead or Alive 3. Dead or Alive Dimensions. This game is basically Dead or Alive 1, 2, and 3 combined. All of the characters are playable in this game. I didn't know much about the series since when I bought this game, and still don't now, so I wouldn't exactly say I'm an expert on the DOA series, but for me, I ended up being at a point where I had to pick this game over Super Street Fighter 4 when I had both of them at the same time. I decided to keep this one. I mean, because let's be honest, and I have nothing but a lot of love for Street Fighter, but Capcom keeps releasing it on pretty much everything for the sake of making a quick buck. So they shouldn't be surprised at the fact surprised over the fact that the Street Fighter games take up a large chunk of the shelves in secondhand stores. Dead or Alive Dimensions does have Street Pass, so you'll be able to play up against another person using one of your characters against their most used character. Next, this is Kid Icarus Uprising, which, in my opinion, and that of lots of people that have played this game and enjoyed it, 2012 Game of the Year. Kid Icarus Uprising. Now, I want to say something about this game that, excuse me. I want to say something about this particular game that I've been hearing a lot about by those that have played it, both physical and digital. And that is that you can't play this game without CirclePad Pro. I didn't even know that thing was released until this past fall. When I heard about, I'm left-handed. I have no problem playing this game whatsoever. So anyone saying that they can't play this game comfortably should not have been playing this game for as long as they have been, or they just didn't know what they were doing. This game is a bit physically demanding if you're playing it for a long time, but common sense dictates that you take breaks every couple of sessions, whether you're playing online or playing through the story mode. It does come with a set of AR cards, which is pretty interesting because that I'm mentioning that is because I didn't even know about it until I saw it mentioned in a video review. They come with Pit, Palutena, Dark Lord Gao, Tiger, a random weapon, and a random boss, depending on for copy. I wouldn't if you're really just gonna buy this game in a secondhand store. I wouldn't count on those AR cards being included, but if you are some lucky guy. Though, for the sake of clarification, I did buy this game new, so there was the guarantee that it was there. Plus, I picked it up the day it was released. But anyway, this here is to the 2012 Game of the Year, Kid Icarus Uprising. It's Pit's first game in 25 years. Doesn't get any better than that. Crosswords Plus. I actually found the prequel to this game, Crosswords, for the DS, in a secondhand store for $2 a couple months ago. And that explained to me why it was that why this was called Crosswords Plus. Now, this is one of those games that while it's not made by Maxis, or it's one of those games that just has infinite replay value. I mean, you get hundreds, if not thousands, of puzzles. New ones getting downloaded get downloaded every day, and it's got Street Pass and Spot Pass on there. So yeah. Front of the box says thousands of puzzles. So there you go. And of course you can just it's one of those games you can just pick them and play whenever, for as long as you like. You can. Another cool thing about this game as well is you can pause. You can suspend a puzzle that you're on, turn off switch in another game, and then go back to the same puzzle later on if you feel like it. And just let the good times roll. Excuse me. Now, this particular next game I'm going to show you is also a port. Is also a port like Metal Gear Solid was, but unlike many of the other ports that Nintendo has done, this particular port that I'm about to show you should be in your library no matter what. And if you haven't played any of the other games that begin with the first 3 words of this title I'm going to show you, something's wrong with you. I'm sorry, but Tales of the Abyss. This game was originally released on the PlayStation 2 about 10 years ago. Might be off by a couple years or two, but Tales of the Abyss, if the first 3 words in the title sound familiar, this is the game that came after Tales of Symphonia, which was released on the Nintendo GameCube. Like Metal Gear Solid 3, this is one of those games that aged really well. I mean, you're going to have the so-called elitists and purists who say it's not the same. It's not the same because it's not the same as the PlayStation 2 version. Well, that's not the point. Handheld ports are not meant to be exactly like the original. I mean, you already have the different control schemes, so you should just take the game as it is. This game is a masterpiece, and it's an epic adventure as well. Former Power Ranger turned acclaimed voice actor Johnny Bosch Young has a acting role in this particular game, and for those of you that are fans of Bleach, he's the guy that does the voice of Ichigo Kurosaki. I'd say the each playthrough has about maybe at least, unless you're gonna rush through the game, which I don't recommend. It's got about I'm not even gonna try to guesstimate here because each time it took me over 12 hours during each playthrough to play through this game. So I'm just gonna say well over 12 hours, or at least double that, because there's no way this game, even if you didn't eat or sleep, you will not finish this game in a day. It also has a sort of a new game plus as well, whereas when you clear the game, there's a grade shop. Which is a kind of like which has become staple in the Tales of games, where excuse me, where you'll be able to use the grade that you earned during your playthrough to unlock a lot of nifty things to make your second playthrough onwards a bit easier and a bit more interesting. But anyway, yeah, Tales of the Abyss. I believe it's now selling for $30 retail. I bought this game when the day it was released and enjoyed every second of it, so, yeah. My next 2 titles are sequels to each other, one of which was also released on the Nintendo DS. Harvest Moon, A Tale of Two Towns, and Harvest Moon, A New Beginning. Now, A Tale of Two Towns was released on both the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo 3DS. No cross-system trades can happen. They weren't set up to work that way. So, if you have the DS version of this game, you can only swap data with people that have the DS version. And if you only have the 3DS version of this game, you can only trade with people that have the 3DS version of this game. Harvest Moon, Tale of Two Towns, as the title implies, involves two neighboring towns. One town specializes in raising crops, and the other specializes in raising animals. I can't say any more than that without going into epic spoilers because of how far I've progressed to this game. But you can get both this game and this game on the eShop, and I would recommend it if you can't find a physical copy. Getting to a new beginning. This game is a bit of a departure from many past Harvest Moon games, in which this is not only your standard Harvest Moon game, but in this game you literally get to customize the town and farm that you live in. You can customize where buildings are placed, where things like trees and benches are placed, all that, and you build them all too. As I mentioned before, this game was on 3DS only, so but it's worth checking out at least. Even though it's been a couple of months since this game was released, there's still a demand for there's still an online demand for people that are looking to trade whether they have this game or the second one. And by the way, I am looking for a lot of folks that have this game, and at the end of this video, of which I've got about 5 games left to go through, I will give you my friend code. And again, both of these games, the 3DS versions of this game, as well as this game, can both be gotten on the eShop if you can't find a physical copy. Michael Jackson Experience 3D. You guys know I'm a Michael Jackson fan. I've got Michael Jackson Experience for the DS, the 3DS, the DS, the 3DS, the Wii, the PlayStation Portable. I bought it from the PlayStation Store. The PlayStation Network. And next week, the Xbox 360. No further comment necessary. Ocarina of Time 3D. I have now that I've got this game, I have every released version of this game ever released, from the original Nintendo 64 cartridge to this one. Now, the interesting thing about the 3DS version, the 3DS release, was those that pre-ordered this game would be given a special code in which they would be able to get the soundtrack, a 50-track soundtrack for this game, which I did get well before it would become available on retail. Since I pre-ordered the game and I entered the special code on Club Nintendo, naturally I do have the album. Now, a lot of the purists out there would say, but wait, there are over 250 tracks. Well, of course there are legal ways of getting the entire soundtrack and all that, but I'm not going to really go into that because that's not what I do. That's not what I use these videos for. But the 3DS version has a Master Quest feature, which I think was introduced in the standalone GameCube release, in which you'd be able to play the entire game, backwards, and with everything, all the dungeons mirrored and with an increased difficulty. Well, this game is a treasure, and even though, like all of the releases, I always get stuck at a certain point, for me, it's worth playing again and again and again. Okay, whoops, already did that one. So next, we have, speaking of music, this is the last game that I bought after I bought Fire Emblem Awakening, oddly. This is a game I've been looking at for over a year now, and I still have problems saying the name of this game, so bear with me. Theatrhythm Final Fantasy, which has select musical scores from Final Fantasies 1 through 13. My personal favorite is Final Fantasy VI, and by the way, this is the Final Fantasy VI, which was released on the GameCube about 10 years ago. Not the GameCube, the Game Boy Advance, and of which I also have the original SNES cartridge and the PlayStation Network release. But anyway, Theatrhythm is pretty much, if you played Elite Beat Agents for the DS, it's pretty much the same concept. You just pick a song and you tap to the beat of the music or whatever the on-screen prompt says, and you're good to go. I'd say this is again a game that would only really appeal to like hardcore fans of the Final Fantasy games, as well as huge fans of the music from the Final Fantasy series. Otherwise, this game probably isn't for you. Oh, and by the way, this game also does have Street Pass as well as downloadable DLC, which you can use to purchase additional songs. Ridge Racer 3D. I had once again, this is one of those cases where you had to pick between one of two racers early on. I chose Ridge Racer 3D for the nostalgia. I'm one of those folks that is old enough to remember. That is old enough to have. One of those folks that can remember playing the original Ridge Racer for the PlayStation 1. And one of the cool things I liked about the original PlayStation 1 Ridge Racer was you could, once you started racing, you could take out the game disc and then put in a music CD and listen to your own music while you're racing. Unfortunately, you can't do that in the 3DS version, despite the music player that involved, so you'd think it would be common sense, but the nostalgia is definitely there, and with this pretty cool headphone, with this pretty cool Bluetooth speaker that I got recently, I can still have my cake and eat it too. Ridge Racer 3D does have Street Pass, so you can swap with folks. And I've got to admit, even though it hasn't happened often, it's a bit mind-blowing when you race against someone who is just pretty much owns the track, no matter what you try to do. Another sleeper hit, Heroes of Ruin. If you've ever played an MMO, you'll have a very easy time getting into this game. I heard about this game a couple of weeks in advance before it's actually 2 months in advance of its U.S. release, because it was released in Europe before it was released in North America. I think I actually did do a video and article about this game, so I'm gonna just gonna quickly say this game has Street Pass and Spot Pass. Though, given it's been months now since I've done Spot Pass data, I'm not sure how that's holding up several months later. But anyway, yeah, you get to play as 4 different classes, and there is online co-op, so you can pretty much get that son of mini MMO kind of vibe going with the 3 other people. It does support local and online co-op as well. Now, there is that. I've gone through 15 games and we've still got one more go. And naturally, I saved the best for last. Fire Emblem Awakening. Now this game, goes without saying, is now my most played game in my 3DS collection since I bought it. I believe I've only taken it out of my 3DS game system 4 times since I bought it. And all I can say is the fun, the fun in this game is nearly endless. Plus, the art book isn't that bad either. Now, mind you, there are those who utilize the internet who say you can get the art book and better through other means. Well, I didn't have to pay for this book, so what's the problem? And sometimes, as I mentioned in my review of that particular game, of Fire Emblem Awakening, sometimes it's nice to have a physical copy of Awesome Sauce. Now, Fire Emblem Awakening is one of those games that has an in-game store that you just wouldn't mind putting up with because of what it brings to the table. It's also got Spot Pass and Street Pass, and as you will see in the new Fire Emblem page that I'm working on my WordPress game blog right now for, if you go up against my Street Pass team, be prepared to lose units. All of my units have an average rating of well over 300, so if you go up against me, just be prepared to lose units, even if yours are paired up, because they're designed to just devastate, cause devastation. Speaking of which, for those of you that may have spot passed with me in Boston or wherever, I will not recruit your avatar if they don't show signs of having picked up skills of other classes, just because for me it would just be a complete waste of space in my avatar logbook. And of course, you only have 20 bonus characters on your active roster per game file at a time. But the rest of that we'll get into on the Fire Emblem page. As I mentioned a few moments ago, this does have DLC, purchasable DLC in the form of additional maps. They don't add anything story-wise, but if you want to enhance your playing experience, I highly recommend buying them. And the cool thing, as is to be expected from a first-party game, is and that sound you just heard is my Xbox 360 behind me. The cool thing about the DLC in this game is you only need to buy it once, and you can buy them in bundles as new stuff becomes available every Thursday. The cool thing about buying DLC in this game is you only need to do it once, and even if you delete the save file that you purchased it on, it'll last forever. The game will remember that, and you know, you'll be able to like go into a different save file and make use of the DLC you purchased. It's yours. So yeah. I believe the United States got Champions of Yore 1, 2, and 3 for free. The game was recently released in Europe, and they got Infinite Regalia, the Golden Gaff, and Exponential Growth for free. You can get those games. I would highly recommend getting all 3 of those maps, especially if you're planning on doing the games on either hard Lunatic or Lunatic Plus difficulties. The thing to remember about I don't know, I'm giving this particular game a lot of airtime. The interesting thing to remember about the DLC maps is as soon as you've cleared Chapter 4, and unlike Starting as Far as, I don't mind putting it out there that once you clear Chapter 4, all of the wireless features are unlocked. The cool thing about the DLC maps is they can be replayed over and over again as much as you like. So you can sort of like utilize the DLC maps to power level your army. Another interesting thing I like another interesting thing to note about this game, and I know I'm giving this game a huge load, which is why I saved it for last, is the Avatar logbook. In total, from the Spot Pass to the Spot Pass characters you get, to the Legacies Spot Pass characters you get, to the 10 DLC characters you can get. That's well over 100 new characters. Well, you can only have 20. Well, actually, I'm going to pause here and just say, look at the new page that's going to be going up on my game blog, because I'm going to go into more details there. And right now, I can see that I'm going on a bit of a tangent. But anyway, there's my 16 WordPress. My 16 3DS games. I'm not expecting that number to change between now and the end of the year. I believe I only bought 3 3DS games last year. Well, three games that were released last year, I should say. I've got 16 games, and nothing that has been released or will be released this year holds any interest to me. That includes Luigi's Mansion, and the next person that asks me about that will get the deer in the headlights look, which is basically. But anyway, I didn't like Luigi's Mansion when it was released on the GameCube, and I'm not expecting that to change just because it's being released on the 3DS. That kind of game just doesn't appeal to me. I didn't get either of the Resident Evil games either, because I'm not a really huge Metal Resident Evil fan personally. I'm not getting Animal Crossing New Leaf, even though I got both the Wii and the DS game versions of releases. I've got Super Mario 3D Land. I keep meaning to get Super Mario Kart 7. I mean Mario Kart 7 now, excuse me, but it's like there's not really a big rush into doing that. I mean, unlike a lot of hardcore gamers that just try to complete a game as quickly as they can, I like to enjoy my game slowly. So yeah. This concludes my master list of my 16 3DS games. Leave a comment, and my friend code should be directly below you. So yeah. You guys keep it real. If you're watching this on YouTube, my friend code's in the video description. If you're watching it on my WordPress blog, it should be directly below you. Send me an email or a message so that I know if you want to exchange codes with me, and we'll be in touch. Until next time, I'll see you in another video.